Hello everyone, this is Showtime 112. We recently covered a dramatic dogfight between US Navy F-8 Crusaders and North Vietnamese MiG-17s, where F-8 pilot Hal Maar earned the first confirmed aerial victory for the Crusader. Another pilot, Phil Vampatella, came very close to scoring a kill himself. If you haven't seen that video yet, just click the suggestion in the top right corner to catch up. But Lieutenant Junior Grade Vampatella would get another shot at glory just 9 days later, on June 21, 1966. That day, he flew as part of a 3-ship Crusader flight from the USS Hancock. The 4th Crusader had to abort before launch. The flight was led by Lieutenant Commander Cole Black, with Lieutenant Gene Chansey as his number 2. Their mission was to escort a group of 6 A-4 Skyhawks on a strike against the bridge near Cap Airfield. Meanwhile, another Crusader section included a reconnaissance RF-8A piloted by Lieutenant Leonard Eastman, escorted by F-8E pilot and Vampatella's roommate, Lieutenant Dick Smith. Eastman's job was to photograph the target for post-strike battle damage assessment. However, as he carried out his mission, he came under intense ground fire and his RF-8 was shot down. Thankfully, Eastman managed to eject. Some sources say North Vietnamese MiG pilots claimed shooting him down, but historians Istvan Topercer and Dong Sai-hung either mentioned this only in passing or not at all. So it seems most likely that ground fire brought down the RF-8. Lieutenant Smith, flying as Eastman's escort, immediately took charge of the search and rescue operation, orbiting low above the ejection site in a small valley. The rest of the Crusaders, led by Lieutenant Commander Black, joined them as soon as they had seen the Skyhawks transit safely out of danger. Vampatella took position as Smith's wingman, and together, both Crusader sections circled Eastman's location at around 2,000 feet. Before long, however, they began drawing anti-aircraft fire, which damaged Vampatella's jet. The Crusader was still flyable, and his instruments showed no critical issues, so Vampatella decided to stay on station. About 10 minutes later, with fuel running low, Black ordered Smith and Vampatella to break off and find the tanker. As all this was happening, 4 MiG-17s were scrambled from Cap Airfield. Their pilots, Pham Thanh Chung, Duong Trung Tan, Nguyen Van Bai, and Phan Van Thuc approached the area at low altitude, waiting hidden until ground control told them 2 of the American planes had headed out to refuel along the coast. The MiG pilots seized the moment. They burst from the clouds and dove for the 2 remaining F-8s. Lieutenant Commander Black was the first to spot the MiGs, diving from the Crusader's 2 o'clock position, half a mile away and about 500 feet above. Both Navy pilots reacted instantly, turning towards the attackers and opening fire. Lieutenant Chansey set his sights on the MiG section's wingman. His burst struck true, tearing off a MiG's wing. The enemy aircraft flashed past so close that, according to Chansey, he could have counted the pilot's teeth. The victory was initially credited to a Sidewinder missile, as Chansey also fired one of those during the battle, but it was later chalked up to his cannon fire, making it one of the rare gun kills by the fighter airplane nicknamed the Last Gunfighter. Interestingly, Vietnamese sources don't acknowledge a lost MiG in this phase of the fight, though they agree that No. 2 Crusader fired 2 bursts with his 20mm guns. Both sides, however, agree that after the opening shots, the Crusaders and MiGs became locked in a fierce, swirling dogfight that lasted at least 2 minutes. Meanwhile, Smith and Vampatella now about 15 miles away, immediately turned back once they heard Black and Chansey were in a fight. With his aircraft damaged, Vampatella lagged behind Smith and had trouble turning quickly. Then he spotted a Crusader under attack by a MiG-17. Unsure who it was, he gave a general warning over the radio, but it was already too late. The Crusader's tail exploded. Lieutenant Commander Black ejected and was captured within minutes, soon joined as a POW by Lt Eastman. The victorious Vietnamese pilot was the flight leader, Pham Thanh Chung. Smith and Vampatella, now joining the fight, found themselves facing the MiGs just as one maneuvered onto Vampatella's tail. He tried to escape, jinking and going to afterburner in a shallow climb, even though his fuel was dangerously low. He rolled inverted and dove for the treetops, hoping the pursuing MiG would crash into the earth. As he pulled out, the danger passed. The MiG had turned away. But Vampatella, driven by the urge to avenge his shot-down leader, turned back towards the fight, despite his damage and fuel situation. Chasing the MiG at top speed, he launched an AIM-9D Sidewinder at about a mile out and saw it hit. He didn't see the enemy pilot eject. At the same time, Lieutenant Chansey was locked in his own running battle at low altitude, chasing another MiG. He fired an AIM-9D, but the Vietnamese pilot outmaneuvered it. Suddenly, Chansey himself was under fire. A MiG was on his tail. He hit the afterburner and raced for the safety of the coast. With his fuel extremely low, Vampatella managed to rendezvous with a buddy store-equipped A4 Skyhawk flown by Lieutenant Art Culver. Although Culver's external tank was empty, he calculated they could share what internal fuel he had left, just enough for both pilots to attempt a single landing on the USS Hancock. Miraculously, both made it back and landed safely. Multiple sources covered this engagement, as usual with many conflicting details. What is clear, each side lost one aircraft and claimed the victory. Pham Thanh Chung shot down Lt Cdr Cole Black. Those facts are undisputed. As for the Vietnamese loss, the downed MiG-17 pilot was Duong Trung Tan. He had been flying cover for his leader, Pham Thanh Chung, the same MiG leader who had chased the damaged Crusader, most likely Vampatella. Both Vietnamese and Western sources struggled to agree on who exactly shot down Tan. The Vietnamese stated it was Chansey, hitting the MiG with a Sidewinder, but this doesn't quite fit the account describing Chansey's gun kill. Given Vampatella's actions, it seems more plausible he was the one who scored the missile victory and shot down Duong Trung Tan. Meanwhile, Phan Van Tuc, another Vietnamese pilot, claimed he fired on a Crusader and saw it start to burn. However, there are no American records matching this claim. Perhaps Lieutenant Chansey had a near miss when he reported being fired upon. The June 21, 1966 battle was yet another extraordinary dogfight of the Vietnam War, messy, complex, and tough to unravel, with sources and memories often in conflict. But as any military aviation history enthusiast knows, piecing together the truth is part of the excitement and the challenge of uncovering history. As always, let us know what you think of the video down in the comments, and keep watching Showtime 112.